Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this another farmer training session brought to you by Capacity, and as we also strive to educate and the corruption practices across the length and breadth of the nation. Yes, Georgia?
You're breaking up. You can change your location, please.
I am? All right, I'll do that in a moment. Sure. We'll just are you able to hear me better, Georgia?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so let me just apologize that technical break-in transmission. As you know, the internet, of course, is one of the many things we face within Jamaica. So, as I was indicating earlier, welcome and thank you for joining us for this afternoon's training session. We do hope and trust that the information shared, of course, will be put to good use and of course, be used in such a way that it improves your livelihood. So the conversation this afternoon is on ginger production. For those who have not planted it before, hold onto your seat, get your pen and your pencil and your paper so you can take good notes, because we'll be sharing with you both in-field results as well as different demonstrations that we've done with regards to different crop production strategies. So welcome again and thank you for joining us. Just a point of note here, if you have not received or collected a 2023 calendar, it's out. And of course, you can find that at your nearest farm store or from your agronomist or your sales representative or your in-store promoter, or any of the members of the team members from Caribbean Chemicals. They pretty much will have them available. And also our website is actually up and running. So feel free to log on and to join the different platforms that we have for the information that we continuously share on a weekly and monthly and daily basis. So let's get into the matter. Now, we're talking about ginger as an underground stem, which you call a rhizome, or it's really a modified underground stem. And it is utilized most of the medicinal purposes. You'll find it growing in areas that are humid to partially hot, but of course it does benefit from some amount of shade or partial shade. It requires a amount of rich, fertile soil, or if you not have that soil, then you want to improve upon the structure by, of course, putting in your different manures or products, and at the same time, your fertilizers to improve upon that. So those are some strategies you can utilize as you grow your crop. Either way back to the soils are varied and diverse, and so you can of course feel free to ask whether or not the crop can be grown in those areas, and of course put that parcel of land that you have into good use. So that's a strategy you can of course utilize. It's a crop that will give you pretty much 100-fold return if you provide the requisite agronomic practices and put the different strategies I'm going to identify in place. Now, some of the best practices when it comes down to ginger is that you're going to have to adhere to them strictly. One, your source of your planting material is going to be the first and foremost that you need to find out. Be mindful of this because you don't want to be transmitting the different diseases that to your current farming state. So you're mindful of that as you continue your crop production practice. Additionally, bear in mind that you want to treat that planting material, whether you have gotten it from a location that is without the disease in question, treat the material as though it could be possibly infected. So you have what is called a hot water treatment that you submerge into small pieces and immerse that into, and the water actually, the temperature here is going to be critical because that is needed to kill whatever might present on the actual rhizomes themselves. And the time span, you want to keep that for approximately 10 minutes so as to give that, that complete coverage as well as to be able to control or to kill those microbes. Additionally, there is a fungicidal treatment that can be done similarly, where you ideally want to spread out or put in an onion bag and immerse those rhizomes into that fungicidal dip treatment. But there is a disadvantage to doing so because if one particular material has pathogen, then what it means is that there's also a potential spread. So what we recommend is to spread it out on a tarp where it can be drained, and you use your knife. I'm going to go through this detail as we go on. So these are some of the three major issues that you want to be on top of in terms of your best practices. Your land preparation also is going to be critical. That needs to be done quite ahead of time because you're going to be needing to, as soon as you treat, to move into field. So bear that in mind as you continue and as you go into selection of your site and your planting materials. Also, we've done a previous video on your site selection and so on, so you can go on our YouTube platform and of course find a particular video, it's Caribbean Chemicals. So you just type that into your YouTube platform and then you just put ginger production and then you see that does see. Now, in terms of, we normally add a fungicide, and this is either toxin or carbendazim, one again to control whatever pathogen that is present. We've seen in recent times where the rhizomes themselves have either scales or other insect pests that are present on them, and so we add to that dip or to that spray mixture. In addition to that, we also recommend that you add a foliar fertilizer. This, of course, is to get that quick germinate, those bits that you've broken up, your rhizomes. Additional germination of your quick growth, and these products include your cytokine as well as your greens. So in your dip kits that we have available at Caribbean Chemicals, you have 3 separate options, and of course, depending on the volume of or the size of your plantation or what chemistries from which it's from. So you can go option 1 or 3, but either way, these categories of products are generally present in them. So there's a fungicide, you have an insecticide, you add the foliar nutrients as well as your biostimulant. And this, of course, is going to be helping to increase that productivity that we're talking about. Now, as I would have alluded to previously, there are several diseases of the crop. And again, these can either make you or break you, literally. And so, first and foremost, I stress you want to get clean planting material. Ensure that you know where the crop is coming from and the history of that plot, because that's also going to inform you in terms of what you're going to your planting materials history and whether or not you may potentially have this problem. So as usual, the problems are either fungal or bacterial in nature, and you want to be on top of this, so get the requisite information. Wherever land you're going to be putting it on, first and foremost, you want to put them into smaller plots. So that if one area is affected, treat accordingly. So the planting material along with your land preparation is going to be critical. Install drains, and of course, make sure that they go across the contour to provide with, of course, adequate drainage, but not to have this water moving from one plot or from one area to the other. So these are some of the benefits that you're going to find out once you do your land prep properly, you're going to be coming out. So be mindful of that. If you're seeing that you have drains that need to be dug deeper, so have situations, you can isolate those areas or that particular area in field, so you can get the benefit of having an isolated plot so the disease doesn't spread further in field. Now, from your leaf spot point of view, because there are issues that will come up, it's a fungal disease in question, and so you have a particular presentation. The oval spots, they're going to be with a white center and some amount of brown margin, or sometimes it's a halo or a ring, a concentric ring right around the area. And again, the disease can spread to have injured the entire leaf surface. And of course, you know, if the leaves are damaged, then of course, your productive capacity is going to be reduced because that's the photosynthetic area of the plant. And this is going to, of course, affect your yield. The strategy here, be on the preventative side rather than on the control side. If, however, you don't need to go into a weekly regime in terms of treatments, but you do continuous monitoring. A once monthly cycle is sufficient with the other chemistries to slow down as well as to stop or to prevent the issues from showing up. So the products in particular, we talk about Sulcox. This is a bactericide and a fungicide one. You get a double action from this. You have toxin that is systemic, along with carbendazim that is also systemic. So you can, of course, prevent as well as slow down and even prevent the disease from spreading throughout the entire field. So here's a close-up treatment of what an image rather of what I was saying in terms of the concentric ring. So if you notice around it, you see a halo or the ring right around it, and then it continues to spread wider and wider until the entire leaf surface is damaged. So your toxin or your carbendazim and your Sulcox. So we use Sulcox at 10 mils per gallon. This is 2 teaspoons per gallon of water, and you can treat accordingly. You also have the carbendazim that you can utilize as well as Sulcox. And again, too, bear in mind that you want to be scouting or monitoring a field so as to give you some amount of adequacy in terms of monitoring so it doesn't spread rapidly on you. Partial shade can also be utilized in the crop, so you can put your bananas and your planting in between, and you can use those fields. So you use toxin at 15 grams, that's 1 tablespoon per gallon of water, Sulcox at 2 tablespoons per gallon of water, and you do foliar treatments. A mist blower or your knapsack sprayer can, of course, be utilized people you can purchase and utilize for your own safety. All right, so the major issue when it comes on to your rhizome, your ginger, is your rhizome rot. And again, this is what most persons or most individuals are afraid of when it comes on to your ginger cultivation. And that's part of the reason why we say be knowledgeable of where you're getting your planting material from and some amount of history. It's caused by a complex of organisms, either be Physarum or Pythium, could also be some amount of Pseudomonas. So it's both a bacteria and a fungal issue that can cause this issue to come in your field. It's usually spread and spreads rapidly. So if you're moving through your field, you want to ensure, and that's part of the reason we say you're going to set up your field in plots so that if you find the issue present, you can, of course, isolate that area. And if you need to go in that side of the field, you go there last because it can be transmitted on your shoe, on your tools, as well as your planting material, as well as in water that moves through it, as well as infected soil. So you want to be on top of this. You're going to see stunted plants. They usually start yellowing down. The older leaves tend to start dying off first, and then followed by the younger leaves, and then the entire thing topples over. So that's how the disease is going to present itself. Now, once you've seen the issue and it's not in its advanced stage, we've done some amount of work with our carbendazim and our sulcox, and this has shown to provide some amount of control, but not in its totality. But if it's in the early stages, you can move in and do some amount of treatment. So this is what I'm referring to when I talk about the rot. So you see the older leaves affected first, followed by the younger leaves, and then everything. Now, if you should pull on that pseudostem, then everything will, of course, just come up in your hands. It will just separate and come in your hands because all of that area there on the meristem and all that location, the underground, is, of course, completely or partially damaged. And so you want to be on the side of prevention rather than having to do with treatment. Now, as a part of the best practice too, as I'd mentioned earlier, be mindful of waterlogging or areas where you have settling out. So if you're doing a land prep and you know the history of the land and that area has a lot of water settling, then you want to avoid that area at all chance. The clean planting material is another factor. Bear this in mind. Do not take this from one field to the other. And then if you need to, well, because you're going to plant ginger again, then you want to do some amount of crop rotation. So try to avoid going back to back with ginger on the same piece of land. Give it some time, give it a year or 6 months or so before you go back into your next planting season. Again, too, we've seen high levels of control when we use our carbendazim and our sulcox. And this, of course, is as a drench in your soil to wet down that particular infected area so as to control the pathogen that is present. And again, once you implement and put in all your best practices, farmers, there is a high degree of certainty that you will not see this issue coming out. Once you put in all the necessary or the due diligence in it, treat your seeds, know where the planting material is coming from, install your drains and so on. So once you can isolate and quickly move it, then do so, because you can potentially and will lose the entire field if you allow this to perpetuate. All right, so other insect pests you'll generally see are your grubs or your borers. The grubs I find to be more debilitating because they're going to be damaging the entire rhizome. And this again too can, of course, reduce the marketable yields and reduce the quality of that material that you're putting out. So you want to treat with your diazinon foliarly, as well as you can also, you put this in your dip from the moment you're going to be planting. You use this as your seed treatment material. The borers are also going to be there. And again, too, the diazinon can control it. And you can always rotate with a malathion to ensure that you get, prevention is going to be the aim of the game here, farmers, where this is concerned, because you want to be on top of this, of course. There are also issues with damping off. Once you've planted out, some materials can, of course, rot away in soil, or they can emerge and then they die back. So you want to be on top of this as well. Your early treatment can also give you both preventative as well as curative action. So you want to be on top of this. Again, too, as I stress, those cold, wet soils, areas where you have a lot of water settling out, these issues can pop up in large areas. areas, and of course, you can kill all of these plants. You've been purchasing a planting material, you want to be on top of your game here and now. Preventatively, of course, we're talking about carbendazim at 10 ml per gallon of water. You can use topsin at 10 to 20 mils per gallon. You also have Zambro at 5 to 10 mils, and you can also use Acrobat. So they are wide. We have a wide lines of chemistries that can be utilized to control as well as to prevent any of these issues from showing up in your ginger crop. Now, as I indicated, we've done extensive work with both foliar nutrition as well as our biostimulants. Again, the key here is to provide the farmer with one, the higher levels in terms of returns, and then two, to showcase the fact that we can produce more per unit area of land. So that's it. And again, too, we're mindful of the fact that we don't want to put in or the cost benefit side of the equation. We want to be on top of that as well. So this was a demonstration done in Tango River, and this is in St. James, where we use our Miller program to treat with the biostimulants in our ginger. All right. So what that program, or the crop care program to be exact, I mentioned to you earlier, we have our fungicide and insecticide, be it diazinon or carbendazim or your soil cox. But more specifically, and the key to it right here, to unlock the plant's potential are our speed, our cytokinins, and we also have the green stem and the nutrient express. Now, once you start applying these, you're going to recognize that your plant in question are going to be more vigorous. You're going to be seeing more pseudostem stalks coming up. And this, of course, is going to give rise to a higher percentage of ginger rhizomes that are present beneath the soil. On average, and I don't want to jump the gun here, we've done by side comparisons, and this is what I'm going to share with you this afternoon. So in this particular field, if you look on the quality of the output, so look at the treated rhizomes in terms of the size and the quality in question. Look at the control. So you see this and the number of rhizomes that are present on this one bit. The plant, the treated area on up to 700 pounds in terms of harvest and harvestable material. And in the control area, 360 pounds. So you see the major difference here now. We're talking about a 94% increase in the quality as well as marketable yield. And of course, you know how this is done in terms of ginger. More you have to take to market farmers, it simply means that the higher the rate of return in terms of your profit potential. So this is clear in terms of the quality. You can see it, the size, the fragrance, the overall storage capacity. This is what you want in your ginger crop to ensure that you have maximum return. So the Miller program, being the nutrient express, to provide that high level phosphorus and potassium to give the plant that added nutrition foliarly. It has with it the transcuticular delivery system, so the plant is taking in this material quickly, and it is a metabolite. So the plant is using it almost instantaneously. The rhizome is dividing and you're getting more cell division taking place. So you're going to be getting not just larger, but more rhizome beneath the soil. And of course, your green stem to lessen the stress on the plant. So you're getting an overall vigorous, healthy growing crop. And we also include your carbendazim or your soil cox in rotation and diazinon to ward off and to keep off any major insect pests. And this is not something that we did weekly. We're talking about once per month to move through the field and to treat. You're going to see further demonstrations here and now. So this is one of the other demonstrations done, and this is done in Kelly's Clarendon, Shooter to be exact. And the strategy here, again, to improve the overall yield per unit area. So we're talking about excellent quality in terms of the rhizome or the actual size themselves. You're getting an average of 7 to 10 pounds per clump. Now, I want to tell you this, farmers, when it comes on to ginger, you plant a matches box size. So let me just break it down for you. The farmers they are seeing here, what they planted was a matchbox size. So if you don't remember what a matchbox looks like, we're talking about something that is 2 inches by 2 inches, basically. And when after 9 months, you're digging up to 7 and 11, in some instances, 14 pounds of ginger from this one particular piece that you've established. You're going to see it further as we go on that the program that we've developed results in a higher level return. In this instance, we did the demonstration with Xavier. This was his second year, but this more particular, we were looking at weed control. And in this instance, he was able to control weeds throughout the entire crop cycle to allow for the crop to pick up the nutrition products that he's putting on, as well as to make the best use of his granular fertilizers. So here again, another example of using the program. The farmer would have used or planted 700 pounds of ginger, right? And the return in terms of yield, we're talking about 6,500 pounds. And this is not what he has given away or anything. So we're talking about up to 9 to 10 times increase in terms of the return on the investment here now. So 700 pounds planted out, and is pretty much close to up to 7,000 pounds, since today. And the field, there's some smaller areas to be taken up just the same. So he's not even at his final weight just yet. And you're talking about a 9-fold increase with using the diazinon, your cytokine, your green stem, and your nutrient express, along with your carbendazim, rotated on a monthly basis to expand the rhizome development and to ward off any potential rhizome rot or any other diseases that can show up. And this again is in Kelly's Clarendon. Here and again, we have another farmer in Clarendon. This is top Clarendon in a community called Sandy River. And Farmer Ralph here would have again utilized the crop care program. Now, previously, because these are ginger farmers now, seasoned ginger farmers, seasoned veterans, he would have been getting a 3.5 pounds, sometimes 2 pounds from each of those bits that he would have planted. What we would have done in this instance, the outtake. So he's now at 7 pounds per plant. And if this is not a great improvement, then farmers, I don't know what it is. So you're talking about on the same area of land, getting 3 pounds and 2 pounds in the previous crop season, and then moving and then using the same planting, same genetics, and getting double. What was the difference? Using the simple strategy of including green stem, your cytokine, and your nutrient express in a monthly spray program. And who would not benefit from getting twice the amount? And the cost here, we're talking about literally not even using each of these products. So overall, he's getting multiple benefits, excellent quality, reduction in the disease issues that may present in the crop, while at the same time, making maximum profit and improving his livelihood. This again too, we looked at using the nutrient program side by side. So the same plot of land, the same soil, however, one shift in the agronomic practice, using the Miller products, the cytokine, your green stem, your nutrient express. And what we've observed significantly is an increase in the vigor. So you're getting more stalks or more pseudostems coming up, where you see my cursor is, and you notice these that are smaller, and you're getting larger leaf surfaces. If you also notice that there's some degree of yellowing, which is suggesting a mineral deficiency, whereas on the treated side, you have, of course, healthy green plants improving and growing and developing with time. As you notice, and as the crop continues to develop, you notice it's filled out. You have patches of yellowing in the control area, showing that there's some degree of mineral deficiency right here, whereas you have a more robust, vigorous plant developing. And what's the simple strategy? Utilizing your cytokine, your green stem, and your nutrient express, along with your insecticide and your fungicide program. And again, to another winning combination for our farmers here. It's all around benefit once you participate and you utilize the CCJ crop care program, because they are thought out, they are so designed to look at the agronomic benefits as well as the economic return to the farmer himself. Again, another location where the products are utilized. If you note keenly, in all of these, it's going to come across and you're going to see it quite evident that the plants are larger, you're getting thicker stalks, you're getting greener leaves, which of course means that your plant is able to photosynthesize, it's making maximum food, and at the same time, giving you that quality return in terms of the harvest when that time comes. So again, the vigor, the development of the crop is continued throughout. Now, another factor we needed to look at, of course, was to find how best, because again, we are working on finding solutions for our farmers, is that weed control was a prevalent problem in rice road ginger cultivation. So the question, of course, would have been, what from our line could, of course, control a wide variety of weeds, one, and then two, prevent any phytotoxicity to the crop, and at the same time, provide the farmer with ease and flexibility and availability to control those weeds. And again, diuron was the product that we identified. Using it at 25 mils per gallon provides effective control and weed management in your ginger field. So if you're considering to grow ginger, you have a chemistry that you can use to spray through your ginger without harming the plants, and of course, controlling all major weed species that you could potentially find in your crop. So here again, we looked at some fields, we saw that the weeds were present, we identified some of the different areas. We went in, we determined that the crop was 18 weeks old, and of course, we went in at 25 mils per gallon and did application. And of course, there you have it, farmers. The plants, ginger plants are growing healthy, they're growing normal, but note carefully now that the weeds have all gone. And so who wouldn't want this benefit again with the crop? This is 3 weeks later that we return to take these images, of course. And again, the solution here is to use your diuron at 25 mils per gallon of water. You can spray over the crop without having to worry that you'll see any major phytotoxicity or any kill where the crop is concerned. Again, another plot that we saw with major infestation of weeds. And as we applied, we observed and we took careful note of what was happening both to the ginger plants themselves and again to the major weed species. Now, if you note carefully, having applied it a week or so later, you saw the phytotoxicity showing up on your weed species. We have our grasses, we have broadleaf species that are present in it, some amount of whisk. But again, here's what happens later on. Right above the plants themselves, all weeds are gone, and it's just the ginger that is present and thriving. Again, the shot was taken just to show that, you know, this is a weed that was killed in field and it dried all the way down. But here's your ginger plant, still healthy growing and no problems whatsoever. Again, another plot that we tested diuron in, just to make sure, you know, because we want the farmers, when we put out this information, we want our farmers to be fully knowledgeable of the fact that we can, of course, we did the homework. We're not just bringing the chemistry and say, oh yes, go and use it. We would have done the field work, done the assessment, and would have been able to say to you, at this particular rate of application, you'll get control over major weeds that are present. This was an old sugarcane plot, and of course, cane would have been spared, but the other weed species would have gone down, just the same. Now, I took this overhead shot just to show you that this was grass and grass only. And the farmer, you know, was saying, man, this field has gone out. There's nothing more that could be done to this. And just so simply overhead application, you note carefully, this can be more tangled than anything else. And so we would have been able to successfully rescue this plot, and the farmer would have been able to find a workable solution rather than to having to think to weed this plot manually by using, of course, diuron. So the solutions are pretty much present. The chemistries have been proven, and again, farmers, we do this kind of work to ensure that, and we put this content out to ensure that you are on the winning side in terms of your crop production activities. At this time, we want to ask you to if you have any questions at this time, or if you have any thoughts or comments on what we would have shared just now, feel free to identify where you're from and to share accordingly. Or if you so desire, you can type in the chat any questions that you have at this time. While you are thinking on those things, just want to let you know that, which is tomorrow, our usual radio program at 6:15 to 6:45 on Power 106, and that's our Farming Today feature. We also have Mr. Lecky, who will be doing a presentation on Irish potato in the Free Hill area, and this is on February 8th. We also have a presentation on, well, not a presentation, but an orchid show, and this is going to be at the Grizzly Plantation Pool, which is in St. Anne. So this is the Ocharias Orchid Show. So turn out with your family and your friends. And of course, we'll be there from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And this is on Sunday, February the 12th. And on Monday, February the 13th, we'll be, of course, in partnership with the Southeast Cockpit Country Farmers Association, where we'll be talking about strawberry cultivation. And this will be at 10 a.m. And yours truly will be in conversation, in collaboration with WUS, to, of course, present on the nutrition management of hot peppers. And the session will be at the Firstborn Church of God, and this is in Tate, Kellett's, Clarendon. And yours truly will be your presenter. Are there any questions at this time? Let's see. Yes, if your mic is open, you can go ahead and share. Well, while you are preparing to ask your questions, feel free, of course, to visit our different social media platforms. We, of course, have content saved on our Instagram or Facebook and on our YouTube pages. And of course, our website being up and running. Of course, feel free to look at the different products that we carry. And, you can drop us a line if you have any questions or queries. And of course, should you be in need of any technical assistance, our able and trained staff is ready and waiting to serve your growing needs. So we have John Johnson in the Surrey region. That's including St. Andrew, St. Thomas, and Catherine. We also have Patrick Kenyon, who's in, and Dennis Lecky in St. Mary and Portland and St. Anne. We have also yours truly, Dane Parker and Charmaine Walker Robbins in Manchester and Clarendon. We have Sion Spence and Andre Rance, who works in Westmoreland and Hanover, as well as St. Elizabeth, while Aluda Shaw is in Trelawney and St. James. So should you have the need for any technical services, you can feel free to reach out to us or drop us a line on our WhatsApp, Facebook, or Instagram pages.
Hi, Mr. Parker, there's a question in the chat.
Okay. Oh, I didn't
How many
scroll.
pounds per acre of planting material?
Okay, all right. So you normally require 1,000 pounds to do an acre. What happened really though, you're gonna break up that. Each pound should give you at least approximately 12 bits or pieces. As I mentioned to you, a matchbox size is sufficient to plant. So you need 1,000 pounds to do an acre, but you're going to split it into smaller pieces. Bear in mind a matchbox size. But bear in mind too, as I mentioned, try to get Sir Arnold where that field is from, and of course make sure to get some amount of history from that. So you don't want to be purchasing or acquiring any infected planting material.
Okay, there's a question on. Oh, go ahead.
All right, I think I heard you say a while ago that for every pound you say you break that up into about how many pieces?
About 12 pieces.
About
You should be able to acquire
pieces.
that from a pound, yes.
So that would be about 12, we say 1,000.
Yeah,
1,000
12,000 bits, yes.
12,000 feet. Okay, fine. So that would sort of give you an idea of the density and how you
Exactly,
plant.
yes.
Okay, all right.
All right, there's a question on YouTube.
Go ahead, Georgia, sure.
Debian is asking, will these upcoming sessions be streamed or at least recorded and updated to this channel?
Well, most definitely. Is it Debian, is it?
Debian.
Yes. Oh, Debian, sorry. Yes, they have the sessions saved and they can be shared to in Chemicals Jamaica, and you'll see it pop up. And if you have a particular session or topic in mind, you could just add Caribbean Chemicals, and then if you put Jamaican and ginger, it's a keyword search, you'll see it pop up as well. So yes, we do have them saved on the various platforms. And I do believe there is a link on our website, right? If I'm correct, Georgia, where it will take you directly to these sessions on the YouTube page.
Parker, I'm wanting to think she's asking about the sessions that we had, upcoming sessions.
Oh, the ones that have to come. Well, those sessions are usually face-to-face by farmers or by request. So they would not have been recorded where strawberry is concerned. But if you do have a particular topic, Debbie, and that you want us to, touch on, then of course share that with us, and we will, of course, make the best use of it to our different content together and share that information as well. I trust that answers the question.
Yeah.
All right, so if there are no other questions at this time, again, Georgia, I would like to ask my question, and the question of the day, which again will allow you to share in the price of a product from our line, our catalog. What is our product today, Georgia?
Carbendazim.
That's the product that will do the lucky winner, the lucky. Okay, so you'll have a carbendazim, which is an excellent fungicide to be utilized in your different crop production programs. So then, participants, identify or name, rather, if you wish, the 2 biostimulants that I use in the foliar as well as planting material treatment. And you can type both in the chat on the different platforms that you're on, so we can, of course, identify who you are and where you're from. So identify or name the 2 stimulants that I use both in a planting material treatment as well as foliar treatment during the crop cycle. I trust that your fingers are burning up the keypad at this time, because I would have mentioned those products several times. I see somebody in the chat here. Okay, yes, so this is from Galaxy A3 Georgia Core. To everyone, it says green stem and cytokine. Right.
And there's a question answer.
So that's one response. Anybody from you? Okay.
Yes.
What's
Romeo from YouTube.
And what did he say?
Cytokine and green stem.
Okay. And anybody in the WhatsApp chat?
No, I'm not seeing any.
Oh, you're not seeing any. So you're both correct to say that the product in question is, or the products rather, are your green stem and your cytokine. The green stem, of course, relieves the stress on the plant by, preventing any further biotic and abiotic stress. It contains betaines that are going to be helping in that regard, and your cytokinins helping with your shoot and your root elongation, as well as your flower buds and so on. So once it contains cellular division, then you're talking about cytokine. So you are both indeed correct. You, the gentleman or person with Galaxy A4, I believe the person in the chat, you might want to share your details with us in terms of your name and location. So, okay, Georgia did that just now. So type your name and your address, where you're from, and send it to our WhatsApp line. It's 401-476-6, where we will send you the notification of and indicate when those products will be sent out to you. Thank you all for joining us this summer training session, and continue to grow your yields.